Love it. So today, I know I was saying how excited I was of what we're diving into, and what we're going into is social media. So a lot of you are really, really good at social media, and I love it. So hopefully, there's a few things you guys can take from this still. I kind of grabbed a couple different ways to show you what this is, how it works, and a few aspects. Um, and that's kind of what I wanted to go into, because the reality is social media is a tool to help you in what you're doing. It kind of helps you, not only your brand, it keeps you visible, and it also helps you with lead generation and relationships. The part that we're going to talk about why social media and kind of what this impacts in your business is a lot of different reasons. But here's kind of some of the reasons, right? One, we know that 90% of all home buyers start their search online, right? Two, we know that people don't just buy homes, they're wanting to buy the confidence and trust. And your social media, the different things that you're putting things on, are your resume to some degree of what you do, right? Next one, social media builds authority and likability before a single showing. So if they can already see that of what you're doing and that you're showing houses and who you are and your personality and that aspect, then they're now wanting and feel like, A, they can like you, right? And we all want to work with people that we like and trust, right? Two, it gives you authority of saying, hey, this is what I do. The other part is, right, well, I basically said that, people do business with people they like and trust. That's very much a common theme of what Keller Williams teaches. So here's kind of the thought process of what I'm showing. One is I've talked to you guys about the 36 touch and the importance of having that as a big part of your people, right? Who are you communicating and what that is? Social media makes it, in a lot of ways, even easier and more in depth. So we kind of talked about this before. 36 touches, what that looks like. You're going to have maybe your 12 newsletters and your 12 market emails and your four quarterly calls, one quarterly call, 4 equals 4, right? Birthdays, you have these different ones that you're doing and putting as, oh, okay, they're happening. The great thing with these is this is time tested and true and helps people remember who you are. Because the reality is you have to have a certain amount of touches to be able to build a relationship and stay in relationship and top of mind, right? Even like, so that's why if I know in the past I've done it where it's like, hey, name 10 candy bars in this amount of time, right? And it's really hard to get those last few. But some of them we've been marketed to so long that they come really quickly, right? You ask a random person in your neighborhood, name 10 agents, good luck. There's probably 10 agents in their neighborhood, but they probably don't think of them all, right? And kind of where and what. And we need to be that first or at least second, because that's usually the two people when you look at the stats of who wins. The cool thing with social media is it not only can be seen by all the people on your 36 touch, but everyone else, right? So you can layer it on. And that's kind of, so what this next screen shows is kind of the power of what it works. So this right here, I'm still going to say is essential, right? Your 36 touch is still such a powerful tool. But then when you layer it on with social media and get that next level, it really does make it so your 36 touch can turn into a 365. Every single day, they're seeing some form or fashion. They're having the higher quality touches of being with you, right? And the value, as well as seeing you in some form or fashion throughout their whole year to remember that, okay, you're the agent that they want to talk to. You have that relationship. They get the calls from you quarterly, those kind of things, right? And this is what creates it so you have that full system. Questions on that? Okay, so here's kind of what we're thinking, because there's so many platforms. So the reality is, what do you choose? And I'm not going to tell you to go and be on all of them and make it so that you can have all of them up to a certain level. The thing is, you need to kind of see, hey, what am I already on and doing? And what's something that I could add to it, right? there's pros and cons with each one of what you're working with and how they are treated and how their works and that kind of thing. So you have, of course, Instagram and Facebook, which are very much owned by the same company, right? So there's some nice aspects of being able to do them together, right? You have different people who are looking at different ones and doing certain things, but they go together in a lot of ways really well, and can have it where you can now put yourself in that spot so people see you, know you, like you, trust you, right? Then you have TikTok and LinkedIn, very different in different ways, right? TikTok is now where a lot of people go to learn about things and see different things, right? You have LinkedIn, which is more of that professional side. So people then are going to look for certain things there, right? You have YouTube. YouTube is honestly very underutilized in the real estate realm. And we'll talk some detail on YouTube. But that's where I actually really love that this happened this week as well, because this being dropped on Monday of his marketing plan and what he goes through, he was going through his personal numbers of how, okay, he has to every single day and week be consistent talking about houses, talking about people, talking about events, his giveaways, and different opportunities. And there's a lot of things that you can continue to put out to the world and add value. And he does it very much around his events and giveaways, but having it so that he's there. And he talks about how he has 2 different marketing teams, and one's a little more funny than the other one. But like, it just shows their personality, and the other one's in this and pretty in this, right? Kind of concept. But going through and having it be where your social media shows what you're doing, puts yourself out there, and in that way. He was talking about how Instagram and Facebook are his way to make sure and nurture the people that he knows, where he uses YouTube as his source for getting people into his database and people who are looking for certain things, which I thought was fascinating, because that's very true with the opportunity in YouTube. So YouTube has been mentioned a lot, and I guarantee that at family reunion it's going to be talked even more, right? But it's crazy because only 9% of real estate agents are using YouTube, right? 70% of business can come from YouTube, and one successful agent, I've been now following him and looking at what he does 350 deals a year from YouTube. I know. Right? He was. I was in Cody Gibson's class, and they were talking about him. And Cody Gibson, Gary Keller, which I guess I learned that you shouldn't go to Disneyland with Gary Keller because he turns it all, and he turns into a crazy person, is what I learned. But it's awesome. But he was there with Ken Bozak, and somebody in the line turned to Ken and said, "Hey, I bought a house because of X, Y, and Z, your video." They didn't use him, but they knew who he was, and they actually used his information of why they bought that house in that neighborhood. Fascinating, right? I mean, of course, that would have been nice if he got the deal from it, but at the same time, I mean, putting out your information and having it on YouTube, and one of the things I've been learning more and more about YouTube is because of how the system and ecosystem works, it's always going. You always have other people who can go on, where a lot of the times how the formulas for like Instagram or Facebook, they kind of sometimes get shuffled away and put to bed, right? Which is fine. You just got to keep on creating more and be there and be present, right? But very fascinating in that way. So a lot of people say, hey, great, getting into YouTube or getting on social media, there's really some barriers that a lot of people say. And these are some of the big ones that kind of comes up. Is one, fear of being on camera. Or the comment I hear sometimes is, I don't like how I sound, or this. You sound how you sound, right? So like Cody Gibson, even at that class a couple weeks ago, said, you sound how you sound, so just get over it, right? You look how you look as well. Like, great. This is who we are. Show yourself, be yourself, right? 2 is being too busy. Is very much a great excuse that we use for everything, right? The next one was fear of what other people think, right? Other people's opinions. which is reality. When you put yourself out there and when you put yourself in that way of on social media, people don't have filters when it comes to social media, right? Because now there's a barrier and they're not going to be polite with you in person, all of a sudden, yeah, it's going to happen, right? And kind of going through just what that looks like and taking it, right? The next part is, okay, here's some strategies for YouTube specifically. If you're wanting to YouTube, the biggest thing I've heard now from multiple people on the different conferences I've been going to is start, right? Do your first video. If you look at anyone's first video that they do, it's never as good as their 120th video, right? You get better, you get more confident, you figure out who you're going to pay the $5 to edit it. You're like, you start to get all of those things in, and it doesn't matter. It's okay that it's there, and it helps you instill in a lot of ways. So the first one is just start. Start messy, kind of make that happen. The next one is post weekly on YouTube, and this is YouTube specifically. It should be 10 to 12 minutes long.
That's so much talking.
Totally. It is. So this is where it's different than the other platforms, right? A lot of what you do on here can be turned into small clips for your other ones though, right? If you do a video and you do it where it's for YouTube, you can then go in and crop and do certain things, and there's different software out there that will make it so that it fits parts of it for your social media in other ways, right? The rule of 3, record no more than 3 takes, right? I would very much, if you're doing a 10 to 12 minute video, I would just do it the first time and be happy with it, right? Every once in a while something comes up, like you might have a beep in the background that is going off every couple seconds, and you might have to redo it. But have it, be prepared. Rule of 3 is don't do more than that, because then now you're taking a lot more time, right? The next one, and this is very huge, authenticity over being polished. People want to be with people. They don't want to, I know there's all the cool AI stuff right now that will also make you, and it's kind of cool. Like, I'm not saying don't do that. Like, it's pretty cool to be like, man, I just made this random human over here who's now talking and doing everything for me, right? I'm not saying don't do that. The big thing is also people like people who are authentic. People like to know you. They don't want to see everything that's all polished up and changed and, right? Like, that's that concept. The cool part is influence very much is the new currency. This right here gives you an ability to have yourself out there in more ways so people can see what you're doing and you can kind of go from there, right? So if you do a video in all of your houses, you should figure out how to put it on YouTube and on your social media. If you go do something that's like the buyer's, basically your buyer's appointment in a different way because you're doing it with a camera, go put it on to YouTube, take clips, put it on social, right? So that's kind of a handful of it. What we're going to go into today is using some different social media, using some AI, using some different tools to show you how you can kind of create some of these. So who in here has used ManyChats? Okay. ManyChats is a pretty cool one. There's different ones out there. This is basically a robot that can respond on your behalf, right? ManyChats, it works really, really well on Instagram, or it works really, really well on your Facebook business pages, not Facebook personal pages. That's, I think, my personal annoyance with ManyChats is I can't do it on my personal Facebook page, just how the algorithm works.
Real quick on that.
Yeah.
Should we be doing a business page on Facebook and a personal?
That has flip-flopped so many times. I feel like every single time I talk with a new person, they have a different opinion on it. I do everything on my personally, because I am who I am, and real estate is a big part of what I do, right? So having it so people who are wanting to follow me like knowing what I'm doing, I'm okay with having it both. Some people would tell you otherwise.
I would suggest, I've thought about this a lot. I think, and I don't know if I'm right, but my thought is if you're more of a solopreneur, just use your personal. But if you're like leading a team or trying to grow a brand, I think a business page is more.
And I think that's very true because a lot of times if you're having teammates, they of course need to reference and talk about the team. So you should have a team business page. And that I would agree with that. As a, hey, you are your own face. Even if you're on a team, you should be doing your own stuff and then referencing to team page, however, right? That kind of is a cool concept of what you can do. But yeah, I would say in a lot of ways, you're your own face. The personal side is what people want to get to know. So
have a business page to do ads for Facebook?
you do. On Facebook, you have to have a business page in order to do ads. So if you're doing the ad side, then you will need a business page. Totally. So Facebook has an interesting algorithm with that, right? Yeah, no, good question.
If you have it set up.
If you have it set up. Yeah, I personally, whenever I do things, I post it to Instagram first and it automatically goes to my Facebook. So that's how I've been doing it. It makes my life easier. So, but you can do it both ways. It's just setting it up, having it be there kind of in that spot. So, good questions. So that's where ManyChats comes in. So ultimately, this is a spot where you can capture leads, you can give certain things. If you're offering something, that's what you'll see me do today. If you're offering something, the cool part is they can respond with a certain word, and it will automatically start talking with them, right? Because it knows what it's wanting. So this is really good where you can have this kind of happen in that way. Of course, then you still have to be that personal, right? Touch, be with people, talk with people, message people, call people, all of that. But this is a great way to help you orchestrate things so you don't always have to say, hey, I got to check my phone every 10 minutes to see if I can get back to someone, right? So what we're going to be doing, the example that I built out was for move-up buyers. So I said, okay, what one do I pick? I was having a fun time with ChatGPT of going through, like, what do I want to do? Do I want to do this example on it for investors or first-time home buyers, and going through and having a whole dialogue, and me and ChatGPT, of course, were enjoying it. Ultimately, I decided I'm going to show you with move-up buyers, because how many of you have ever had someone moving here, or you've helped someone move and buy a different house because it's bigger, right? So I did it with move-up buyers specifically for, hey, this kind of area. And so what I did was I started with ChatGPT. I started having the conversation. I said, this is what I'm wanting to do. I gave it all my dialogue. And I said, I want to do this. I want it ended up where I go and I give things to Gamma to create the document. And I walked it through all the steps. I just kind of vomited all my thoughts and said, ask me some questions so you can better understand what I'm wanting, right? And I'll show you, after this, we'll show you and flip through these. The next thing I did is I then gave certain aspects to Claude. And I didn't go to all of it, but I grabbed certain parts and said, hey, Claude, make this better. Like, this right here is great. This is the rough draft in my mind of what I want for what I'm putting on Gamma to share with people and add value back to people's lives. But I want it to be better. And it did. It did a really good job. It asked me a few more questions and came up with that, and then I put it in Gamma. So I'm going to show you what that was, because then the next step that I added was ManyChats. Of saying, hey, great, I want it now to also do this, how, where, and what. So the first thing that I did was I went through and I had to create the video. So I went through, and I'll show you this part first. This was my whole dialogue. I said what I wanted. It asked me questions. Then I said no. I first went with investors, and then I was like, no, I actually don't want to do investors. And then I said, actually, let's change this to move-up buyers. And then it gave me move-up buyers. It's just a good thing that it doesn't talk back to me too much, but changed my mind. Then I went through and chose what I wanted. I gave it my edits. I said, hey, I really like this, but I want this changed because I'm a huge advocate of people keeping their homes as rentals. So I changed the script for that. Then I said, all right, great. Let's do this next part, this, and that. I kept on changing this, having conversations back and forth. And it kind of then gave me all of this aspect, right? One of the pieces, and I'm scrolling fast, I know, because it's not like I'm expecting you to read that. One of them was the section of the script. And I took that script, and of course, I modified it and made it my own, right? And I said, all right, how high was that script? There it was. So this is the script that it gave me, right? What's the hook? What was the value? What was the call to action, right? And I went through that. So then I went through and said, all right, now I need to, of course, have my video. And I said, I now need to make that video so people can see what it is and go from there. And kind of went through it. So I made a video.
Have you ever needed to upgrade your living space? Well, I was having a conversation the other day, and I realized it's not as difficult on finding a place a lot of times. It's the aspect of going from the one house to the other and that process and the best way to do it. So, there's really three main options. And I wrote a whole move up guide. If you'd like it, DM me on Instagram next, and I'll send it over. But ultimately, the three kind of are basic. The first one is you could sell your place. You can sell your wonderful home and use that equity to buy and go to the next one. Pretty standard. We do it all the time, and we just have to line up those dominoes. The other option is you can actually buy first. It's just going to take a little more money, make sure that you can qualify for 2 homes and things like that. And the third option that a lot of people don't think about, and it's one of my favorites, is to help you build wealth, long-term wealth, and it's keep your place. Let's keep it as rental, go through that whole process and get you in that right spot so you can now not only have the other home, but then upgrade and buy that next one. So, like I said, if you want the whole move up guide, DM me on Instagram next, and I'll get it over to you. And if you have any other questions, of course, I'm here for you. So, that's a wrap. All right. I'm in a box.
I like how it says KW on that side.
Does it say that?
It says KW and marker on that side. That's sweet.
That's even better.
Heck yeah.
All right. So, right, be yourself, put yourself out there, give value, right? So that was the first part. ChatGPT told me, hey, go do this, go have some information. And then, that was that spot. So then the next step was, okay, I made sure to mention the call to action and how that works. So what I did next was I went to ManyChat. And on ManyChat, I went through, and the thing is, in ChatGPT, one of the next sections it gave me was the whole flow for ManyChat, because I asked it to, right? The cool part is I actually copied all from the ManyChat. I went over here, and I told ChatGPT to build it for me. And then I walked away from my computer, and it built it for me, right? So this right here is the flow. This is kind of what it does. I then had to go, of course, again, you should always be tweaking what you have. You shouldn't always just be like, great, it made it and it's done. But I went and made this, so now when you, on Instagram, go type in next in my comments, it sends you everything, right? Then we have the next step. So the next step, and I'll just flip because I think I'm going to go back off. There was ManyChats. And this right here, I'll put that up in a second, was all of these steps for you. I then went and took all the notes into Claude because I wanted the Move Up Buyer Guide. I wanted it to be different, and I wanted to change a few things and have it be even better written. So I gave it what I wanted. I had to ask me a few questions, and then it made this whole thing for me. I've now copied this, and I put it also something if you want to steal it from me. Great, you can have it. I built this. Then I went over to Gamma, and I threw it into Gamma, and it built my guide. So if I go in here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So the reasons you're stuck, why people move, right? Okay, here's the 3 paths. Then it goes through and says your equity formula. And if you sell first, what does it look like, right? Then it went through, so on and so forth. And of course, if you want it, I'll give you this link as well. This one, of course, is branded to me. That's the whole purpose. I built it, and that's me. No, I'm kidding. Thank you. I appreciate that. Calling me handsome. So that's that whole process, though. But the reason why I kind of went through to say, hey, great, what does this look like? How's the process? What's the steps? Is to show you those different aspects that you can do. And the reason why I like this one is because a lot of you are doing a really good job showing off your houses and doing different things. But if you want to branch into YouTube, or if you want to branch into even just giving some things of value and having it out there, what are the ways that you can do that, right? And if you think about it, there's so many topics that you can do this on, right? So it's like, hey, how do you just go make some more content, make it very factual, but then also have something that you're giving, right? So that's kind of the process that I wanted to show. This right here does have it, so it has the steps. I just took the different steps that I had from ChatGPT and put it in here. And we'll also have the link to this video so you can go back and kind of look through what the thoughts are. Whew. I'm okay. I swallowed wrong. But ultimately, that's where I wanted to say, hey, how do you guys go do this? What does it look like? What are things that you want to be really, really good at and kind of go into there? And ever since I've done this, I've been thinking of so many ideas, right? Because you do one and then you're like, oh, how about if I did it on this? Or how about if I did a guide of, also, like, I would love to do one on Snow Canyon. Like, how cool would it be to create a guide on some of the different hikes in Snow Canyon and have some clips and videos and put it all together, do a quick post about it, or a whole YouTube thing about you hiking, right? And be like, here's one of the things why I love living here, or whatever. Like, how many things, depending on what you enjoy, that you can then go put out to the world as value and say, hey, here, make this easy, connect with people, and do that. And you can go the whole YouTube route and do 11 to 12 minute long videos once a week. You can just stick in the, hey, I want to do social media and post certain things here and there. Whatever it is, we're here in the business that we're in is adding value to people, adding it so that they want to not only work with you because now they know you, like you, and trust you, but you're there at the right time on their mind. Questions? All right, starting from the one. Yeah. Totally. What other questions? That's a great one. Yeah.
Other than just getting started,
Okay, getting started. Yep.
obviously, you gotta check this stuff every day too.
Totally. Yeah.
That's the other thing I struggle with. But it's another habit. If the constant focus is it's a source of leads and business, that should be enough motivation to remember to be engaged with this on a daily basis. But what else could you recommend? Just getting started and doing something once a week is.
Yeah, I would say getting started doing once a week. Social media, there's all the different formulas out there that some people it's like 3 of this and then 2 of this, and just put stuff up there. Like, be consistent, put yourself out there is the easiest formula. So I think if you're doing at least once a week something with real estate, great.
I don't know if this would be helpful to anybody else, but maybe I don't know if there is going to be a class, or I'm sure there has been and will be, but just again, kind of walking through the basics of how to post something. And again, I'm sure a lot of it's like anything.
The more you do it,
learn. It's like, oh, it's so simple.
Yeah.
But when you don't know, it's one of the things that
completely.
Something, and maybe a meeting or something where you can kind of walk through that, or is that too elementary?
Yeah, so our regional tech person does some classes online here and there.
Okay.
I'm happy to have it where we have some more here and there as well.
Okay.
The first day of family reunion is going to all be about social media, which I do think is going to be epic.
Sure.
It's probably the best word that I can think of for that. So I think there's a lot of resources, and we're happy to give you more. So keep on asking questions. So, but yeah, I think the biggest thing is start, right, and having it where that's just one of the big parts that you need to do.
In command, I'm sure there's a link to all your social media too.
You can connect some of your social media to it, and that's where a lot of the ad side would come through. I don't think there's a whole lot more on that aspect. You, of course, have a Canva Pro account that you can use. It's just you go to canva.kw.com and log in, and that's your pro account. So if you want to use anything there for stories or for things like that.
Some of the lenders and different vendors will connect you, and they're already paying for things like list reports and stuff.
Yeah.
Where there is shareable information that
Totally.
What you just walked us through. It's already been done.
Oh yeah.
Different things, again.
Yeah.
Content or helpful tips for sellers and buyers.
Totally. You could easily do once a month and have a ManyChat aspect that, is about stats, right? And you can then have your own little stat thing that you still from a million different sources and have your stats out there, right? But then talk about it, have a quick video. You could do your 10 to 12 minute video all about the stats of what happened last month. Like that could be like, it all depends on what you want to do. There's so many options. And that's where it is the trick of saying what fits you. I think the biggest thing is when you have a listing, make sure to do a video on about your listing, right? When you have certain pieces of business that you're just talk about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
No, love it. Anything else? Okay. Well, awesome. We'll go make it happen. I've shared all of this with you. Yeah, it'll be fun to see kind of what you guys come up with.
Cool.
So, and I think there's food out there. No, not yet.